Hey everybody, this is Rydo and we are back to LEGO Star Wars The Force Awakens. The last level was pretty good. We didn't run into too many lags there. The main issue, I would say, is if I was to criticize it, it feels like they specifically wanted to have a rather long level with a boss fight at the end, when they probably would have done better to have a medium to short length boss fight alone and then have the level coming up to the boss fight happen. It very possibly is just a matter of cutscenes. Was there enough money in the budget to make a cutscene that would make the level before the boss fight feel like it was a complete level and make the boss fight stand on its own? Maybe they didn't have enough for that. Anyways, let's continue the story. We don't have to really do anything else. More and more, I'm gonna try and rush through this, through each level. This is the time to not lollygag and try and collect everything.
I guess jumping out of the inside of another ship wasn't so smart after all. I'm gonna have to sort this mess out here. Go check on the forward maintenance bay. I got a weird power drain showing up in there.
So this feels like this is going to be the main hub for a while, at least. And this is a separate, like, I think, side mission, probably DLC mission, is unlocked. But let's see. Who are we playing as specifically? There's a little bit of a hitch.
Oh, Minox.
Yeah. I would say at this point, if this was 30 or 40 minutes into the movie, they've specifically named and interacted with too many characters. Too many little creatures. You're getting a little Jim Henson-y with it. And I would argue even most Jim Henson-y movies were more conservative about not just creating random characters.
Yeah, that seems to have sorted it. What was it? Loose wire?
Not quite.
The hyperdrive took a knock in the jump and needs realigning. Think you can handle that?
So we're just doing repair work. That was a purple stud because we had already collected the gold brick. I believe we've already done this race also, so I don't see a real reason to do that a second time. But what there is a reason to do is come over here, and we have studs times 2, and it's 1,000,000. So we are right in line. So now we know studs times 2, this will be studs times 4, times 6, times 8, times 10, which will equal, when they're all enabled, a multiplier of 4,000 and I believe 28. Very, very helpful. Let's see. We've lost Finn somewhere in this. And I am going to need... I already pulled that. Where does this want me to go? There's very possibly an achievement for Chewbacca punching this chessboard, because there was a thing in one of the movies where you always let the Wookiee win, or whatever Chewbacca is, and so I imagine there's a good chance of an achievement there. Let's ask the question, is Chewbacca immune to ice? No, he is not. I'm not sure anybody actually is.
There's spares in some crates around there if you need them.
Just throw a thermal detonator.
Things always falling apart.
With Chewbacca we have the
Arrive, BB-8.
With Chewbacca we have the thermal detonator, but we're still missing the dark side ability, and probably we need a Phasma character to be unlocked for destroying gold bricks. Once we have those two abilities
Nice work.
and the coldness resistance, I think you could try and do all of the little extra collectible things at that point. But you're better off just playing the story all the way through. Sure feels like you could have just walked here and moved the story forward without doing any of those other actions. Interestingly, the map seems like it's indicating collectibles with dots. If that's the case, that's new to me. Yeah, there's never been a instance before where you could just hit the back button and see a map. Wow, that is going to make it rather easy. And here's the galaxy map. And we're on the Millennium Falcon and we're 54.7% done. And this was unlocked by default, so this is probably DLC. This seems like this might be DLC 2, and this might be DLC 2, but maybe not. I guess these are storyline related ones. So this is going to be a little bit of a mess. Let's see. So if I hit Jakku and hit select, you can land on it for an open world area. There's apparently something I need more gold bricks, and then there's something called the quest for survival, which I'm hoping is not some kind of real-time strategy mission. So when I click this, yeah, there's a lot to do. It says we're 11% done. But where were we supposed to go by default? I guess, well, we were here, and we did chapter 4, so I guess we're going to go to Takadana, Maz's castle. I guess they're really gonna force us to learn that menu system, which again makes it a little complicated, adds some difficulty for younger kids to try and know what they're supposed to do in what order. Most games, even mature related games for adults, generally keep the single player story very linear, with no way to go back and replay a level without at least jumping through a menu or playing the entire story mode once before you can. So it's another example of TT games going their own way, I suppose, not learning from the larger video game industry on just how to do a simple linear experience. That in some ways makes some interesting games in the LEGO gameplay style, but in some ways I think there's a lot they could learn from by not adding too many options. It's kind of a reoccurring thing. There's too many mini actions to hack doors.
See what you got. This map's not complete. It's just a piece. Ever since Luke disappeared, people have been looking for him.
Why did he leave?
He was training a new generation of Jedi. One boy, an apprentice, turned against him, destroyed it all.
The Jedi
that there's definitely
So much green in the whole galaxy.
there's definitely a problem with writing this story 30 years in the future and then implying that there was that Jedi were completely forgotten.
You might need this.
Solo, why are we here again?
Get your droid on a clean ship.
I,
You think it was luck that Chewie and I found the Falcon? If we can find it on our scanners, the First Order's not far behind.
We can trust her, right?
Relax, kid. She's run this watering hole for 1,000
interesting,
years.
his lips move when he talks. Yeah, I would argue setting it 100, 230 years in the future, since the last movies makes a lot more sense, particularly if you're going to have Jedis and Sith not even be a known thing. And then there's definitely some inconsistency that they know what the Millennium Falcon is, they know who Han Solo is, and they know who Luke is, but they don't know that Jedis exist? That's very inconsistent. It's an interesting looking... So I assume this is a place of great power for the Force. That'd be my guess. Can I jump on this guy? Nope. The Star Wars Clone Wars last seasons kind of took the Force, and the Star Wars Rebels cartoon also took the Force in a different direction. And this feels like the mystical element that they continue to add to it. Where I would argue, if you're sticking just to the first 3 movies, episode 4, 5, and 6, it's more of a magical element and less of a religious thing, even though the Jedi is a religion. It's not one that really has any dogma associated to it. Like, they talk about the light side and peace, and that's kind of all they talk about. And then in a weird way, it also turns a lot of the Clone Wars and Rebels cartoons also put a little bit of science into the Force too. So sometimes it's midichlorians and science, and sometimes it's mystical religious things, which frankly it's probably just inconsistent in general. So can she work her way around this? So if I could destroy this tree, which I imagine I need to do, and yet another creature is not only being destroyed, but showing its face. This is all about the toy sales. How many cute little dolls can we sell? How many action figures can we sell? I doubt anybody will ever see it, but I would suspect that George Lucas, in selling the Star Wars franchise to Disney, kept or attempted to keep a significant number of the toy license rights. And because of that, there's still a lot of effort to make toys. Although, to be fair, Disney wants to sell the toys for the Star Wars franchise as much as George Lucas did. there certainly would have been some different ways you could have gone about it, but they wouldn't have felt very much like... I'm trying to push right to see if there's something else that can be built, but I guess there isn't. And we're waiting till I have 100,000 studs, and then if I'm not in a level at that point, I will be able to purchase the score times 2 multiplier, which I guess I'm in a level already, so too late, a little too late. There's another hitch. I would argue, if you're just going for a new look, getting rid of stormtroopers would have been a good idea, or drastically changing in the way they looked, because that's been played out so many times that you could have easily created some new type of general enemy to fight.
How much of a morning person are you?
Maz is a bit of an acquired taste, so let me do the talking. And whatever you do, don't stare. Any of it.
I am uncertain how you would get up to these things. I don't know. Maybe there's a way you come around backwards. Or maybe you get a flying machine or a flying ability, flying character. So this is clearly just another Mos Eisley casino, and they've even called the character Maz.
Hey, Maz. I assume you need something. Desperately.
Maz, I need you to get this droid to Leia.
No. You've been running away from this fight for too long. What fight? Against the dark side. Through the ages, I've seen evil take many forms. The Sith, the Empire. Today, it is the First Order.
There is no fight against the First Order. Not one we can win. We all need to run.
You see those two? They'll trade work for transportation to the Outer Rim. There, you can disappear.
I'm not resistance. I'm not a hero.
Finn.
So interesting, Finn is thinking about, or just actually is gonna leave to the Outer Rim. That again is probably a great way to move the Star Wars universe into a different direction, take it to planets and sections that we haven't seen before. This guy's talking, but you don't know what he's saying unless you have the subtitles on. So I wonder if I had the subtitles off, would you know what he's saying, or does it even matter? Meanwhile, let's... Those look like those look like elves from Lord of the Rings. And they're cooking a teddy bear and a banana and a chicken. Right. And they even have a Mos Eisley-like music playing. At the very least, it's better, I think, than the Mos Eisley music. Can I get this purple one? Yes, I can. Let's talk to this guy. So, is this a shoot the target thing? Seems like you have as much time as you need, or as many shots as you want. Some of them have helmets on their head, some of them don't.
Okay, sure. I'll follow you someplace.
So maybe there's an achievement. I guess I can't play as Finn now. And we can't be purchased. Maybe there's an achievement for doing this fight later on without missing. That's something that I'd have to check after I've played the full game. I'd have to remember which level it's in. This is chapter 5. Okay, so we can build that, which this would have just, there's another hitch. That would have gotten us the purple thing. This is gonna make a bellows, which we've seen this gag done many times. Jump on the bellows and make the fire get big enough to cook the chicken. Feed the Worgans? I'd call them Worgans if I have to describe them. That lets us move further this way. You have a band. This would have been a nice place to have a reference, and I believe they have a familiar character in the back there. But not the people who were playing in the Mos Eisley Cantina. And frankly, if I was writing Star Wars Episode 7, I would have the band from the Mos Eisley Cantina start playing as Han Solo was walking out, and then I'd have Han Solo say, "Haven't you learned anything new in 3 decades?" That would have been a really funny, natural joke.
I can't serve any more coffee until the repair crew get here to fix it. Might be minutes, maybe hours, maybe years. Although that last one was 6 months.
Yeah, meanwhile we're being told what to do. I'm breaking things. So, Rey, on top of her staff abilities, on top of her agility, on top of her force abilities, and she also can fix things, at least somewhat. She's, quite frankly, a Mary Sue of a character, in my understanding of that phrase, which might not be correct. Here, you know, they've implemented one of their worst minigame interactions when you have an actual mouse on screen. Since I'm playing with a controller, that's not good. This is a good, decent puzzle. It's just I don't like the fact that there's a mouse, and this isn't like there's a screen and you're fixing it. The mouse is just there. It's not being projected by BB-8.
Oh, great. Now it's got a mind of its own, too. Last thing I need is a sentient copy. It's bad enough that the
So
what the? Hey, it's fixed! I've always said that there's nothing that won't fix itself if you just ignore it for long enough. Come and get your drinks, people!
And I suspect this voice actor wasn't in the movie at all, and that's why she sounds better and has more lines of dialogue than most characters. They're doing way too many ice cream jokes for Lego. Like, I know there's only a handful of foods, but you can also do turkey legs. You could do did she just say Gundam? It sounded like she said that.
I don't know where I'm going. Or why.
As we run back here, there's a hidden mini kit. Just caught the edge of it. So, what kind of resistance
It can't hurt us.
place was that? So I guess this is the point where we find R2-D2 just sitting here, which is way too much of a coincidence, and doesn't make sense. It's a Deus Ex Machina type writing. But my understanding in the movie is they find R2-D2, he is dead or like not charged up for the most of the movie, and then he wakes up at the last second as just kind of a teaser. But looking at the True Jedi field and looking at the fact that it's almost full tells me we're probably gonna finish this level rather quickly, which is weird because the last boss level was way too long, and I think you could have balanced it better a different way. Some of these Lego things apparently are just not breakable. Maybe I didn't walk close enough to this one to be startled by this one. I can blast every other droid. If there was an opportunity, I would say, to make BB-8 actually be R2-D2. Like, that doesn't... he is a droid, he's a robot, so it wouldn't be crazy if at some point Luke decided to... like, if Luke put R2-D2 in a new body, that would be fine. So we got a couple of jukeboxes. I kind of would prefer if there was 2 things to build instead of take your pick. It's giving you this false sense of choice when the choices are unimportant. Apparently the music is not going to stop regardless of what I did. Slide down here. And I'll come over here and spin this to open it some more. I don't get the sparkly gold. Did I miss any spiders? Yeah, then I don't know, maybe it does make it a little bit easier for kids if you don't potentially have something off in a corner where you might overlook it that's important, and instead you have the important pieces that you need to break to build larger things be fewer and more central. I could see getting some feedback to indicate that. But even if that was the case, I would argue there still should be something in the corner over here to break, even if it is just going to give you coins. There's a lot less to do. And then we have another little hitch. Now, where C-3PO and R2-D2 ended up in Episode 7 does actually directly contradict what you see in some DLC for the Force Unleashed one. However, like, that is non-canon, and so non-canon, I believe it was against the rules at LucasArts to even mention the Force Unleashed. And the Force Unleashed 2, which I recently played, was quite the disappointment. Okay. So I think I have to select, and then I have to spin. And I assume the idea is to get them both facing like the symbols at the top of the door. And it even lit up for me. Fair enough. Now, ideally I just want to walk backwards, but I can only go one direction. Oh, seriously? Well, you know what? Just do that. That'll fix itself eventually. Since you can only go one direction, I'll put the one on the left in the right position, turn it off. There's another great example of how this mechanism never got programmed quite perfectly. It's better. It gets better every time, but it's been probably a decade too since they introduced this mechanic. It does definitely feel like there's teams, maybe new teams, maybe B teams that get put in charge of some of the Lego games, and they are always built with the worst programmers that aren't getting any better, or very slowly getting better. Far too slowly. Alright, we're a true Jedi, so that's good. That when we finish this level in the next recording, we'll be able to buy score multiplier times 2, which means true Jedi will be half as difficult, so we're guaranteed practically a true Jedi in every level going forward.
It's wrong.
How does she know that? The Force? Or just Mary Sue powers? One would assume it's the Force. Like, she should have no knowledge, actually, of the symbol. She's on a completely different planet. She's never, I think, been on a different planet in her life. Let's hop up here. What am I supposed to be doing?
Yes, some of the parts of the mechanism are missing. They've got to be around here somewhere.
Interesting. So how am I supposed to open that door? Or there's another hitch. Do anything. Oh. It was right in front of my face. Oops. Again, sometimes it's not as obvious as it feels like it should be. Like, this area is pretty dark and brown in palette. The things I should be looking for should probably be bright blue gears, which would be Lego appropriate, or black or bright red or bright yellow. Like, any color that is just not brown and potentially difficult to see. Okay. What am I supposed to do now? I guess maybe that's not what I'm ready to do. Maybe I do jump up here. I'm just holding A, by the way, to do that. Now I'm pressing up on the left stick, which I don't think that's really necessary to make me press up on a specific direction. I think it would have worked just fine if they wanted me to hold B. At least they're doing us a favor. I've thought that eventually we're going to get to a point where there are no more franchises to do, and we're going to have just Lego versions of other video games, like a Lego Assassin's Creed, and I certainly could see that working. This is a little difficult figuring out. No, that's not what I wanted to do. I want to go up here. I want to go up here. Maybe... Oh, I'm supposed to hit Y. And now the gears are going to turn to make it a climbable platform. Am I supposed to hold and let go? What am I doing? Going downward doesn't do anything. Just getting a lot of sparks. Maybe I needed to be a little bit further back. Am I supposed to be lining up the symbols? This is too difficult for a kid. It's just not doing anything. There's all kinds of things that you could shoot over here, but they don't have anything to do with anything. And this is... That's the gun, so maybe what I need to do is build this up. Then with the B button, like, how do I... Because this red indicates to me that it should be the... I should use my staff to try and pull it. What happens to BB-8 when he presses upward right now? Nothing. What are the three options? Am I supposed to be? And the game's giving me no indication. Like, we're wasting a lot of time here. Am I supposed to be bringing it downward? Up. 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 Okay. Over here would reach us over here, and I think down here. And there's no way to... So what am I missing? Is this some kind of glitch? I did see somebody on one of the on the discussion forum of Steam say they were having trouble with a puzzle. I don't even know how I could fix this glitch if it really is a glitch. Short of just exiting and starting over. Up, up, and hold. Let's try this over here. Okay. No. Alright, if I do this and then do this, that doesn't do anything. What am I missing? Clearly it's not intended to get up here, because if it was, it wouldn't be giving me the wobbly ground. Ooh. Well, I broke something over there. Can I pick up the piece that I need to collect? Let's go back as far as we can. Yeah, and I don't think for a second their intention was... And it's not clicking the left stick. I'm just gonna push it forward. Unless the idea is to bring down this gear for some reason. Unless it really is some super complicated trick. Oh my goodness, it is. This is a really, really complicated puzzle. This is a super, super complicated puzzle. Oh, this is insane. Right, so... I guess the alignment thing doesn't even matter. Come to think of it. I just need to leave things as they are. Climb up here, hit Y, move this up this way, hit Y, walk over here, move it this way, hopefully we are close to being done. We're already going to be late. That was insane. Let me ask this. Does this move that platform up? Yes, it does. This is too much of a puzzle. Too much for one puzzle. And way too much too early in the game. Remember, this is a kid's game. Let's not forget that. That is a major difficulty spike. See, that's a really cool animation that we're seeing here with the marble falling. But I feel like you probably should have done some interaction to cause that to happen and manipulated the puzzle a little bit. There's another spike. Lag. Can we now finally do what we wanted to do.
That should be it now, BB-8.
We're gonna line up the symbol.
That's it. That's the symbol.
And I don't recognize that symbol if that's
Whatever it is,
supposed to
it's
be
close.
Jedi or the Rebels or what. And this is a nice and colorful out of engine cutscene. Pre-rendered cutscene. And we get the lightsaber. And then touching that, she has a vision. Of quite a few things. The Knights of Rendar.
Quiet, girl. Quiet, girl. Hush now. Shush it. There's no place like home. 1/4 portion.
Ray?
So that's like the Dagobah swamp scene.
That lightsaber was Luke's and his father's before him, and now it calls to you.
I don't know if that's actually true.
I see your eyes. The belonging you seek is not behind you. It is ahead. The saber. Take it.
I'm never touching that thing again. I don't want any part of this.
Today is the end of the Republic. This fierce machine which you have built, upon which we stand.
I'm really not sure how much more of the movie there is.
All remaining systems will bow to the First Order.
I wouldn't be surprised if this happened somewhere around 40 minutes to an hour into the movie. So their Death Star can target multiple planets at the same time, which really isn't a significant advantage other than a increase in power output compared to the previous Death Star. And apparently it's taken them 30 years to build their new Death Star. On threat alone of the ability to blow up a planet, the rebels would have been wise to surrender. I guess the argument that you could be made is that the Empire actually did fall, and the Force Order is much weaker and doesn't have all the technological designs to create a Death Star, and that's why it took them 30 years. Some interesting characters we saw in the Maze Cantina, but I imagine in the movie and in the game they are going to be nothing more than action figures to sell. I bet they have no stories or really any importance whatsoever in the larger swing of things. We haven't gotten any vehicles in a while, so we're still at 20 of 86, and we have only 4 when we should have 6 red bricks. We have only 15 of 259 gold bricks, so there's a lot to do there, certainly. And we only have 79 of 277 characters, or to be fair, some of the characters are actually just different skins for the same character. And we'll want to purchase all of that too. Somehow, despite running into the major problem of not understanding what I was supposed to do in that puzzle, that was a much more difficult boss than fighting the actual boss a couple of levels ago. Or maybe just one level ago. Yeah, it may have been the last level. That was a mess. Unintuitive. Too difficult for a kid's game. That is definitely a problem. Somehow we managed only to go about 10 minutes over, though. That's it for this recording. As always, I ask you to like, share, subscribe, comment, and watch every second of my videos. If you want a friend or follow me on any social media sites, there's a whole bunch of links down below in the description box. Thank you for watching. Have a good evening.